Welcome to LearnClan.com, free IT education for all. In this section, we will get to know HTML in 6 simple steps. Step 1 is to understand the basics of Internet, Web or World Wide Web. Step 2 is to set up our first HTML project. Step 3 is to understand doctype HTML tag and get to know the different browser modes with respect to HTML. Step 4 is to get introduced to head and body sections of a HTML web page. Step 5 is to look at some text formatting tags in HTML. And step 6 is to know how to put comments in our HTML code. So let's get started. So what is the Internet? Sometimes called the Web or World Wide Web. Internet is often defined as network of networks. This leads us to one more term, network. What exactly is a network with respect to computers? A network consists of two or more devices which are connected to share resources, exchange files, or carry out electronic communications. Computer or devices that forms a network are broadly classified as a client and a server. A server is a computer in the network which is designed to process a request and deliver data to another computer over the network. Think about the broad meaning of the term server in our real world. In a hotel, the duty of a server is to take the food order from the customer and deliver the food to the table of the customer. This behavior is synonymous to the behavior of a computer server in a network. A computer server takes request from the client and then sends back the response, which could either be a web page, calculated data, or some message depending on the request. Let us take an example to understand this in more detail. When you are surfing a web page on your laptop, computer, tablet or mobile devices using any browser such as Chrome, Firefox or Internet Explorer, your laptop or computer or phone becomes the client. And on this client, the web page requested by you is downloaded from the server, which is then viewed in your browser. So this gives the basic workflow between a client and a server. Now, let us put this whole definition in perspective of the Internet. As we said earlier, the Internet is a network of networks, which simply means it is a collection of distributed central servers across networks that store or process data. The client devices like our laptop or phone fetch us this information or use services from these central servers. Let us look at some more terminologies in BASIC which are in connection to this. They are domain name servers or DNS, IP address and HTTP. Now, each computer on the Internet is assigned a unique address called the IP address. An IP address looks something like this. If you look at this address, it is difficult to remember. This is where domain name comes into picture. When you visit a website, all you need to know is an easy to remember URL such as google.com. Domain name servers make this possible. They are special servers which help us to convert this easy to remember URL to IP address that the computer in the network can understand. Let us see a live demonstration of the same. The IP address that we are seeing here, 216.58.192.78, belongs to google.com. Let us test it out. Open your web browser and in the address bar, type in the IP address that we just saw, which is 216.58.192.78. 78 and press enter. As you see, the browser automatically directed it to google.com. This was made possible by the domain name server. The domain name server carried out the conversion of the simple URL or the conversion of the IP address that we provided into the simple URL google.com. So now that we have covered the basic idea of IP address and domain name server, let us look at one more terminology, which is HTTP. HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Without getting into too much of detail about the same, think of it as a grammar or a set of rules which is used by the language that the client and the server communicates in. That covers the basics of the internet. Now let us look at different types of web application. A web application or a web page could either be a multi-page application or a single page application. Let us take the same example of the hotel that we saw in the previous slides. When you enter the hotel, you are ideally greeted and seated by the server. Once you are seated at your table, for every order you place, the server will take your order and return back with your ordered food at your table. Now imagine a weird scenario where the hotel has a strange rule that for every new order you place to the server, you will have to go out of the hotel and come back inside to sit at your table. I am pretty sure the hotel will go out of business. But jokes apart, this cynical example was provided to understand the idea behind multi-page web application. In a multi-page application, every request from the client will result in the refresh of the entire web page before the response is viewed by the client. In contrast to that, a single page application is the one where only the requested data by the client will be fetched back by the server without needing the whole web page to refresh. A good example of a single page application is a sports website where the scoreboard will dynamically change without the entire page refreshing. We will be building single page application progressively in our course. In order to build a single page application, we need other programming languages such as JavaScript, and it cannot be built only with plain HTML. We will start looking at plain HTML and build multi-page application initially, and then later on progressively we will build single page application in the course. So that's it for this step. Until the next step, bye bye.